What up, headbangers? How you doing? I'm Rob O'Day, and welcome to the Greasiest of all time. Tonight we're chilling with Gnarcotix from Illinois. How you guys doing?
I am good. How are you?
Good. Why don't you introduce yourselves and let us know how you guys got together?
I'm Fox, and I'm the vocalist of the band.
I am Nut, and I play guitar. And how we started the band, me and this guy have known each other for about 10 years, and we've been writing music on and off. We've been a couple different bands, different lineups, and we just kind of stuck with this lineup. And with last
around
years,
like 2017, we started writing songs together just as a two-man group, and then about 2019, we decided to go ahead and like find a band, and that's us and our current drummer. And from there, we went on through a couple of members, and now we're a five-piece with our rhythm guitarist Nate and our drummer Nick.
Oh wow!
Nah, our bass player is Z,
and our bass player is Z.
They're all really good musicians.
Crazy. So you guys you have a bit of a history together.
Oh yeah.
How was the experience in recording your latest single?
That's an interesting one.
Was interesting. It was an experience. We took 2 days in the studio on that one.
Yeah, it was just a quick, little thing.
We took 2 days on that one. That one came out, I think, it was like supposed to be like a Halloween single.
Yeah, it came out on the 27th. It was actually kind of rushed just because we wanted to get it in for Halloween.
We recorded that like I think the first week of October. Like 2 weeks later, and we were just kind of like, fuck it. Well, that's a long story because we recorded our first EP at the same place, and I put a down payment for like the next recording, and then that kind of didn't really go as planned. So like last second, we did the single idea because we always, we're more like the horror theme kind of thing. So we just kind of did that just to keep the momentum going.
Yeah, it was kind of spur of the moment. Kind of here's a single,
Yeah, that's always the best though, because then you kind of surprise people, right?
Yeah, and the vocals on the chorus are from like a member that's not even in the band anymore, so it's kind of just like out there.
Yeah, no worries. That tends to happen. I know that our first EP, our drummer was about to come record midway through, and then he quit. So I ended up having to do the drums and then find a drummer who could play my drum beats. So it's a weird concept when somebody leaves and you have to just do what you got to do anyways. How's the local scene there?
It doesn't seem to be too bad. I mean, now with with COVID and all that, people are starting to get back and get more into the scene again. And the few shows we have been to in 2021, I'd say they're pretty strong. Like you have pretty strong turnout, and a lot of people are coming together. So that's actually really refreshing.
Yeah, we were kind of surprised that we had such strong turnouts at the shows that we have had so far. And I mean, I know a bunch of the bands in the area, there wasn't much going on, but like it's like day by day, there's more and more stuff going on.
Yeah,
so
that's dope. It's good. That's good to hear that there's support and people coming out now after COVID. That was my biggest fear, was people were gonna be like, "No, I don't want to be in a mosh pit."
Yeah, now if only the jobs can come back too. Like,
yeah, for sure. It's taken its toll. But it's been such a blessing in disguise too, because we've gotten a year to just like sit and write, focus on our craft.
Well, that's what we did.
What we did.
With all the
so it is a blessing too.
Yeah, like in disguise at the studio. So.
Yeah. Which studio did you guys go to? A local one?
That one was Olmsted in Chicago. That was actually like downtown. That was with a buddy named Adrian, and then our second one, which isn't out yet, it's done. That we don't have a release date yet. We're setting up all of that right now. We did that at the Nut with our buddy whose name is Nick.
Yep.
So they're both different. They both have different band catalogs that they've recorded, a little bit different styles. They're both recorded honestly completely different, but we're not signed to a label, so we're just kind of like experimenting and see what works best for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you guys ever thought of doing it independently?
Well, I mean, it technically is actually all independent.
That's pretty much what we do.
It is. We pay for it all ourselves because we're not signed to a label, Now, like, I have a laptop. I make all the demos before I actually go to the studio. I make all the demos. I'll program drums. I've been playing guitar since I was 9. I'll make the song. I'll show it to the band. Obviously, I'm not a drummer, so Nick will come up with the correct his drum part or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'll teach the song to the rest of the guys. He does his vocals, and that's how it works. So
yeah.
And then when we're all ready and the shit's super tight, depending on what's going on, we hit the studio and we record the section of music. The plan now that we did the first EP, we did the first single, second EP is coming out. We're already working on a full length album. That's the plan. As an independent band, we're gonna try and hit the studio at the end of this year, early next year, and do probably a 12 track. So we already got about a third of it done. So
that's good.
We just distribute it to like Spotify and all that just through DistroKid right now. So
still very early on. Yeah, you know what I mean. So.
Yeah, it's the nice the benefit of being independent is with like DistroKid and Bandcamp and the ability to do everything yourself nowadays is so beautiful.
Yeah. Right.
It's definitely been that. I think that's been a huge push too during COVID is that independence movement.
Yeah,
because you find a lot of bands. They either like what you guys do. You know, they went to a studio, blasted out a bunch of singles, kind of a thing, or they just said fuck it and invested in the actual equipment themselves and just learned how to produce.
Yeah, which is another thing that we're doing. That's another thing that we're doing. It's just do with like all the money that all this shit does currently cost doing that at the same time.
Yeah,
it's like crazy. So it's step by step. It's day by day.
And that's what I mean, right?
That's cool for us for sure. Is they have
and it's nice having like an actual producer on a record too. That's someone else to like put you in your place sometimes and like give you good feedback. And
it's very true. Yeah, it's very true that to have a genuine producer who knows when to step in and when to sit back.
Right.
That's why our drummer does all our production. And I've never allowed, I was saying earlier today in a different interview that I've never really given anybody creative control over my stuff. Like I've always had to have my hand in it on my vocals or my guitar playing, and like no one, you can't EQ my guitar. I'll do my guitar. You know what I mean? Like I trust Andy with everything. Like I just do my thing, walk away, and he makes me sound good. And I'm like, that's a fun experience when you find someone who knows how to make. They work with you in that aspect. You know what I mean? Right. Not on a musician aspect, but they understand and hear the sound that's in your head. Because it's not always the easiest to describe to a producer, this is what I'm hearing, and then explain that to them when they're trying to do the mixes, kind of a thing, you know? I find that's the hardest thing. Like it's easy to record and write and then get it into the studio, but the hardest part is to get that final mix where you're like, everyone's like comfortable.
Dude that understands what you're going for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you find that producer, you usually never want to let them go. You're just like, we're gonna hire you every time, or you're just gonna be ours. Like you're just gonna come with us. How has it affected you, COVID? Besides the fact that you guys aren't performing and all that.
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, it's a blessing in disguise, kind of, because I mean, we had a bunch of shows booked. We didn't have any recordings. Our first show booked with with the current music with no recordings was literally the same Friday that everything shut down last year.
Mm-hmm.
And like through that, like I said, that pretty much made us just like actually go to the studio and record these songs. I mean, it's actually go to the studio and record the second EP. Well, we can't play shows. Well, regardless, we can record songs. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I can do songs on my own on the laptop, and like over time learn how to mix it and produce it. That'll be cool, but like we already said, having that pro fucking little input on there is definitely a nice little added touch. So because I'm definitely not like a master mixer, recorder, audio engineer guy. Yeah. I mean, really basic demos that sound good enough to like teach it to the rest of the guys. I mean, we go, weird scene, and like through that, of course, I'm watching, internship kind of thing, like learning along the way.
Mm-hmm. That's what's cool about working in an actual studio too, is you get to learn all the tricks of like where to put the mics on the amp, and then you kind of like steal that and you're like, fuck yeah, now I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna go do it myself.
The way this is set up right now, and I can pull it out, it's stupid, but like literally, it's just basic. Like with the setup, like literally the demos that we do here, because you're actually propped up on top of my laptop. It's all MacBook. We just got like a little,
just the Scarlett.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's all you need. If you know how to do the MIDI, the like little drum thing, and you got that, you can do basic demos at least.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I have.
I don't mix them, to the standard to like release it to the public. But those demos turn into, us going to the studio actually.
Yeah, and then it's cool when things change too. As soon as you hit studio, because the producer's like, "Hey, you could add this," and you're like, "Fuck, I didn't even think of that." Like, and then that becomes your favorite part of the song, and you're like, "Damn, I wish we thought of that. It's not even our idea."
Yeah, both of our producers so far have added their own like little things to a couple of our songs that I'd say we both dig.
Yeah, and I think that's what's missing. Like, I notice a lot of producers kind of just let bands go in and do their thing, and they don't give that creative input.
I mean, which you obviously want it to be genuine, but at the same time, like, having like caring about the project too is very, like, when they genuinely care.
Yeah, because like I think it makes me think of a good producer would have not let Lars put the snare on Saint Anger. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like a good producer would have been like, no, we're gonna change the tone of your snare because it just sounds like metal fucking shit.
Yeah, but you want to know what he was thinking? He was like, "Hey, they're paying me. They're the richest man on earth. Let me just do what they want." That's what they're thinking.
No, it's true. It's just that ability to stop a band from being like, yo, you're doing too much. Like you're overdoing it. Just like stop, reel it back a bit. That's good to have too.
Yeah.
We have a guitar player that does that for us. He's our devil's advocate. He's always if we please him, then we know it's good, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? So it works to our benefit having our guitar player do it, because then we don't really have to worry about a producer doing it. But yeah, it's fun. It's a weird experience being in a band, especially when you're investing so much money into recordings and travel to get to the studio and all that, and then hoping to get plays, you know what I mean? Hoping to gain fans from it, because we're not performing live. It's a hard world on the social media aspect, you know?
Yeah, so I guess it's affected us like in a positive way creatively for having like all that time to work on stuff. But not being able to play shows was a bummer, especially for getting our name out there. Cause like starting off, we weren't the best at social media or anything. Yeah, we played like one show actually pre-COVID, and now getting back in 2021, we were actually able to play 2 shows down kind of more south in southern Illinois, and it was like spaced out more, all that. Like people are getting to playing shows again, but you know, it's coming back slowly. So
yeah, I'm curious to see how. I'm curious to see how it is with you guys opening up and having shows, how long it'll last, and I hope that it lasts. You know what I mean? Like they don't throw in lockdown or anything else, because
it seems like a bunch of people are getting vaccines around here too. Like they're really pushing it in our area, so maybe that has something to do with
that. Yeah, and that's like Canada just went back into lockdown, and I know that Quebec still has curfew for 8 o'clock at night. They're not allowed out, kind of a thing. Wow. So it's really weird because I feel like Canada's going to be the last one out, because our government really didn't give a shit. They're just like, oh yeah, it'll go away. It'll go away. And the last minute, they're like, damn it.
How are you looking at it? There's other countries that, you know, they have a strict lockdown and they still don't, and they're fine. So
yeah, it's a weird.
I'm not really
we're just kind of like, well, we need to eat and play shows, you know. So
exactly, like, and it sucks being a band because like every other industry didn't stop completely. You know what I mean? Like even dollar stores were still fucking open, and that's not even essential to go buy like crap product. You know what I mean? So the only industry that I know that I've heard of or know of that completely stopped was the music industry.
Oh yeah, and I do like audio engineering stuff too. So like, yeah, I was completely out of work, man. Like,
and then you think about the lights and sound guys and stage reps and people who make that, and there's a lot of people out of work just in the music industry.
Or not audio engineering, my bad. Like what do you call it? Like AV stuff and all that. So like stagehand and all that. So like we got hit pretty hard.
Yeah, the entertainment industry, like I know for a fact that the movie industry just moved. Like all the movies that were getting made in California came up to the Okanagan where I live. Because like Kevin Costner's in town right now directing a movie, and like there's a bunch of like Reese Witherspoon was just in Kelowna. Like they're all up here right now filming because they're allowed to. I don't know how they're allowed to, because I don't know if you've ever been on a movie set, but like there's a lot of people, you know what I mean? So, and I do background acting, and I was still working as a background actor, but I couldn't work my normal carpentry job, and I couldn't do music.
That's wild.
So for me, it was like really what matters, like what's essential and what's not, because
it's crazy what society values like in that aspect.
Yeah, definitely. Like you think entertainment would be and higher demand during a time of need.
Right.
Like when people are stuck at home, not allowed out.
A lot of people came together and started doing like live streams and stuff like that.
That's a weird topic because it kind of is, you know what I mean? Because right now, like you said, we proved it at our last couple of shows, and hopefully we keep.
Yeah, I mean, and people are itching to get back.
Nuts.
So we're thinking
people have never even heard us, and they're freaking out over us. You know what I mean? Because they're hungry for something fucking new.
Yeah,
they've been saying
and people just getting back to shows too. Like I think when it does get back to kind of normal, I think it's going to be like a huge thing, and music's really going to like come back. You know?
Yeah, I definitely. I'm looking forward to the next six months to see how things open up, and give it some time to like air out a bit. Because I mean, it's a weird concept because everywhere in the world has the same problems that we all do right now. Like every band I've interviewed, and I'm getting close to like 60 interviews now, and every band has said the same 5 things about the music industry and the scene that they're around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's there's a lack of community amongst the bands, like bands working with other bands. Mm-hmm. This is all pre-COVID, and things that they're seeing change now. So I should put that in as lack of support from bands with bands, lack of support of fans going to shows. The fact that promoters will take advantage of bands, they don't pay you a guarantee.
Yeah.
Venues against bands, and then I can't remember what the 5th one is, but mainly like those 4 or 5 things are like a global problem in the music industry, on our level at least. Because when I say music industry, I like to think the underground, because we're not pop culture industry. You know what I mean? Like they'll never die, but like our underground culture, the hardworking musicians, the ones who've been doing it for 15, 20 years, our age, we've like dedicated our whole life to struggling as a musician and working a 9 to 5, then coming home and writing and going to band practices. And on the weekends, we go and book shows and perform. And people don't realize what we do and the amount of effort it takes to go into being a band versus what they see. Like they see us on stage, they see the party,
Right.
They don't ever see the dirt, I guess, so to say. So that's kind of what our show is. It brings up what it's like to be a musician and like the struggles that each individual band has, because especially during COVID, there's a lot of movements going on. You have a lot of like Black Lives Matter, you have a lot of cancel culture. There's a lot of different movements people are getting behind that. I think because we got the break to stop and things weren't flying past us constantly on the media and our phones and all that, and we got to sit at home and to actually look at the world and realize how much revolution was going on globally in so many different things, that I think there's an actual revolution happening in our music industry of the underground metal, at least, where the bands that have earned it have been there and made it through COVID and climatized to the new market, and how we have to appeal to people by podcasts and like live streaming. There's a lot of things that we've had to do that weren't essentially something a musician would have to do. So it's becoming a really cool thing where it's evolving into this thing where we have control of our own careers and how we can market to people and how we appeal to people versus the show that they see, right? They can get to know the bands on a personal level and realize like, okay, these are genuine dudes. Right. Like there's not a lot of glam to being a musician. And I don't think people realize that, like there's a lot of, 90% of us are broke motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
I've been broke I'm always broke. This is what I do. I mean, I'm broke right now. I got no money in my pocket. I'm just waiting on a paycheck. But the second I get paid, it's going to pay for the next thing that we got to do as a band. Sorry, let me turn this phone off.
Oh, no worries, bro. And that's what I mean. Like the investment that it takes to be in a band. Like people don't realize how much a guitar costs. Like a good guitar, you're looking at a couple grand. If you want a really good one, drum kits, you're looking at like $5,000 for a good kit with cymbals. So you have to travel around with that. You know, you got to pay for the gas, the vehicle, make sure your shit doesn't break on tour when you're stacking it.
It was like touring vehicles. That's easy $5,000, you know, and that's at minimum, you know.
Yeah. So, well, I was doing some research for another series that we're about to release, and in 2018, it cost a band our level $17,000 to $50,000 to do a month-long tour. We don't have that much coming in. So any band that you see actually touring and trying to promote their shit, that's 90% out of their pocket. You know what I mean? Like people are too pre-COVID where, you know, you have 5 bands on a bill and people don't want to pay $5.
Right.
It's $1 a band. That's the same concept of looking at Spotify. Like they're not willing to pay us a cent for a play. I was watching a YouTuber today and he was saying, what artist do you know would give you art for less than a cent? And I just started laughing my fucking ass off because I'm like, right. Every single fucking musician, you're on Spotify, you're on any of those fucking streaming platforms, you're literally giving your art away for less than a cent. Yeah. And it like they don't realize it, right? Like they don't see it because tattoo artists, graphic designers, painters, they get paid for what they're worth. We don't. And which is a weird concept that the mainstream industry created. And I think that COVID kind of loosened their grip on what we can and cannot do, which also loosened the grip on the industry because they had it so hard where they were choking musicians out. You know what I mean? Like in a 360 contract, you get paid $1 million for an album, but you have to pay 1.5 million back. You're never going to get out of debt. And that was the industry. So we got poorer and poorer as artists, and they got richer and richer as labels and as any marketing company did, right? And now that their main bands that they market and push around constantly aren't touring and making those millions of dollars, I think that there are a lot of bands and record labels are going to go bankrupt after this if they haven't already and just not announced it. You know what I mean? Like kept it closed. And that independent market where we are is going to open up vastly. And I think that gives us a huge advantage now that COVID's slowly ending and we're getting out. And that's why you guys are seeing so many people at shows and such a positive feedback is because
it's kind of like room for the underground to kind of for sure.
Well, it's like you had us in a bubble, right? Like we were stuck in like on a plate with like a fucking plate warmer over it. And it's like COVID, it just like we were steaming, getting hotter. And at one point they just lifted up and now we can enjoy it. And that's how the world's kind of enjoying their meal. And that's how I see it, right? Like we were eating McDonald's for so long and now we got a steak. Like people aren't going to go back to McDonald's.
Right.
that pop music and that EDM, like once they get a taste of real musicians again, after being denied real music for a year, shit's going to go crazy. I'm excited. Like I think Absolutely. They better start making a lot more festivals. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna need it. They're gonna need it big time with the amount of bands that are about to blow up.
I've been seeing like a lot of festivals popping up too, and even if it's just bands throwing them themselves and kind of getting this traction themselves, it's really like exploding all around. So,
and that's one thing I was saying too is. I was saying that bands are going to have to take things in their own hands because venues shut down, right? Mm-hmm. So you'll see a lot of renegade festivals, like little venues, day festivals where there's like 7 bands from like.
Absolutely.
I think the best thing.
Like 12 bands for this summer so far, like.
Right.
Pretty big lineup, so.
Yeah, I think one thing that would be really smart for all of us to utilize coming out of COVID would be all ages events. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that was lacking for the last 10 years is we all focused on bars and trying to get the big scenes. But like now these younger generations are so disattached from like, they're not attached to any music. They're attached to like electronic and auto-tuned, sped up chipmunk shit. And it's really weird. And I think that's because that's kind of based on our fault. And I think that's why bands also have a hard time getting out there.
And I think that would be a good transition, like coming out of COVID too, would be these all ages kind of outdoor festivals, you know, you can kind of do that.
I find the only reason people don't do it is the security factor.
Mhm.
Like they don't want to hire security to babysit kids that are drinking underage.
Right.
Well, realistically, you got to do the same thing with fucking adults, but kids are easier to handle. So,
True.
you know, like, and they appreciate your music more. Like they're the ones whose parents are going to give them $50 to go to a concert instead of spending $50 on alcohol, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like they would be more inclined to let kids go to shows.
Just keep me out of trouble too. So like,
My whole life was based around concerts as a young kid. Like that's how I grew up, supporting this local scene. And then we had a wicked scene too. Like they used to throw local bands would throw a show and you'd have like 300 people show up. You know, like you would have fucking packed shows, and then like a big person would come and they wouldn't even get that many. And it's like that's because they were so dedicated to their younger fan base, I think. And I think that's one thing I keep pushing is like all ages events. We need to start doing that as a community, like a metal community. 100% is like start giving back to the youth and bringing them back in, because like nothing's better than inspiring a young kid to listen to metal.
Absolutely. Or inspiring anyone, really. Yeah. But yeah, for sure.
Because like, I don't know, there's a lack of inspiration in the world these days, I find, in every aspect. You know, like, are you just kind of like people accept what's trendy and they go with it, and then they don't have that freedom of thought? Like,
it's really nice to actually connect with the music instead of just going with the current trends or whatever. Like when you find that really makes you feel, there's nothing like it, instead of just being like, oh, hey, like this is the hot new thing. Yeah. Like,
I have a really big pet peeve on people like, oh, I love that one song by that one person. You don't even know who the artist is. You just like the instrumental, like, and to be honest, you don't even know what DJ made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's slowly coming back, and I'm really thankful because my dog's going AWOL. Sorry, guys. He's a little bastard. No, I think that this time that we're in right now is a beautiful thing for music and for us emerging bands, because now things are opening up. Like that oversaturation of bands that were all over Spotify pre-COVID, where it was hard to even get heard. They didn't keep up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they didn't market properly. They didn't keep recording. They didn't reach out to their fans. Like they just kind of waited for COVID and expected it to happen and slowly go away.
Right.
That alone, I know, created a lot of distance in bands, which broke them up because they weren't together, right?
Agreeing on certain things, and just kind of dissolve.
Right. So I find a lot of the bands that I interview are the ones that are, I like to say, comfortable stepping out of their comfort zone. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, well, we'll reach out to podcasts. We'll reach out to all these people. These are the bands that you're going to be seeing on festival pages in the next 5 years. You know what I mean? Like we work our asses off, all of us, and it shows. And now you can see it happening. Like I think it's 6 or 7 bands that I've interviewed now have been signed to different record labels. So in the past 2 months that I've started this business. So in 2 months, I've seen the market open up, and a lot of bands that deserve to get picked up are getting picked up. As for before COVID, I don't think any of us would have had a chance.
Right.
Because it was flooded, and they were looking for who's popular on Spotify and who's popular on Facebook, because social media made it this crazy popularity contest, which I don't understand. Like, oh, if you have more likes on Facebook, your music must be good.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, it could also mean that
some bands I even heard like buy stuff like that, and for not just promotion. It's like, man, miss the days where we can just put out flyers and people come to shows and all that stuff.
That's another thing that I think people stopped doing. It was stop doing like flyers out and about, and worried about Facebook groups and events.
We actually have
we want to utilize everything.
Yeah, we have a show in Nashville 2 weeks from now, and we did the whole most of the social media promotion on like Facebook and Instagram, and they did. I know because they the headline band's a little bit older than us. I know for a fact because that's their hometown that they actually print out flyers and they've been hanging them out around.
See, that's smart.
Yeah,
because like Facebook events, I've always hated Facebook events because you get 300 people showing up to your show, and you show up to the show and there's like 20.
Yeah, right.
So like you could have just, instead of promoting that Facebook page, like gone out and actually put flyers up, and you would have attracted a lot more people.
Right.
So like, yeah, flyers is key. That's a smart thing to do. And I think a lot of bands
it's like sticker slapping when it comes to people just randomly seeing your name places. Like, you'd be surprised, just random people seeing your stickers and then being like, who's this? And looking you up and hearing about you.
Do you know who Snack the Ripper is?
No,
or Mercules? They're hip hop artists.
Okay.
They're from Vancouver. Anyways, the record label that they started originally was like a rap group, but it was a graffiti group that they went under. They painted under the name Stomp Down Killers. And their logo is a balaclava with 2 baseball bats. But that's what they did, is they sticker slapped the logo without the name everywhere, all over Canada on a tour. And everyone wanted to know what the fuck the image was.
Yeah.
When they finally found out it was SDK, they already had built such a fucking fan base from the mystery that they are a huge following throughout Canada already. So like that was a really smart tactic that they used, and they just did it. And that's a graffiti tactic. You know what I mean? Like that's what graffiti artists do. They slap up their fucking hand styles and walk away. So it's a cool thing to see, like the tactics that people are using to market themselves, right? Like you have to think outside the box. You definitely do nowadays. Like I just started live streaming because I realized you can connect with way more people. You know what I mean? Like just like, even if it's a Facebook once a week, you just like go on and talk to the fans. It's insane how much it genuinely works. Like I didn't believe it until I did it. And it's, yeah, like you log on for a half hour on your Facebook page and your fans come on and come talk to you and you can talk back to them, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. That builds such a cool relationship with your fans. Like they love you so much more. And then they share your shit, they buy your shit. And I think that that's the key to being successful nowadays is be interactive with your fans, put out singles every month, and utilize like live, you know what I mean? Come up with cool ideas to, like I heard one band did a bake off with a fan. They got their ass whooped by a fan, you know what I mean? Like a metal band tried to do a bake off with some dude who knew how to bake, or some chick who knew how to bake. Like, but it raised entertainment, and I think that's all we can't perform to entertain. So we may as well try to like come up with other ways to entertain, so they get to know who we are as people. Because I think that will make them more dedicated. Because you realistically only need 1,000 dedicated fans who buy $50 to $100 worth of your merch a year, and you're making roughly $100,000. You know what I mean? Like your band it's paying for itself. And I think so many bands focus on, we need 1 million likes, we need 1 million fans. Just work on dedicated ones. Like that dedicated clientele will build bigger versus trying to get a
yeah. And when it came to it, we actually just had a fan giveaway where we hooked up one of our fans with all of our merch, like just a merch bundle.
Yeah.
And he's been a dude that has followed us from the start, all the way in Greece, actually.
Right.
And, yeah. And so we sent him a merch bundle, and it's just something to do for the fans. And we've been looking into kind of like getting on social media more and hitting that a bit more. So
yeah, like we hadn't done a live, like our band did a live yesterday. It was our first live on for Enigma and for the band, just because I finally figured it out. And the Enigma one got like 45 comments, and like we had like 15 people chilling with us, and most of them were bands that I had interviewed, but we were all like hanging out and talking. And some dude sent me one of his songs, so we reviewed it online, like right then and there live. And like that experience of him watching us listen to his song in that moment, he was just like, he sat back, watched us,
or something like that.
Yeah, he was like so amped, you know what I mean? Like, and that to me is like, that's the connection you need.
Yeah, that's like genuine right there. So
yeah, because like, I mean, I'm sure if we went to his town, now he's going to come to our show.
Right.
Because like the amount of likes you have on Facebook never translates to how many people you have genuine fans, right? Like you can have 1,000 fans on Facebook, but if you do a show at home, like you can have like 25 people show up.
Right.
That's what I hate about social media, is that fake popularity contest.
True.
I don't know how to call it, what to describe it as other than that, because it is just like it's this fake thing that doesn't really fucking matter, but promoters look at it like it's the most important thing, and record labels look at it. And that's why I love under independent record labels, because they'll actually take the time to listen to the band versus, oh, they don't have 100,000 fans. Okay, no, we're not going to look at them.
Right.
Because the major labels, that's what they do. They buy established brands.
Basically like talent buyers. Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, right. That's why I think there's a lot of decline in the quality of popular metal nowadays.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the bands that are out there nowadays are.
I feel like they just look at like what's overproduced too and kind of judge it by that rather than like the actual meat and potatoes of the music, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Like recording and performing are two different things. Anyone can record a song and make it sound good.
Right.
But I've genuinely heard bands that record terribly and perform fucking awesome.
Oh, absolutely. We think we do better live, honestly. Like
I think most bands do. Like I think that's where you see a genuine band is live. You get to I don't know, there's something about connecting with a band when you're like this close at a venue and you can smell their sweat and you're just, like there's just a connection between musician and band. I think that
it's that energy in the room, you know?
Yeah, it's like I don't know, it's spiritual almost, you know what I mean? Especially a metal show when you've got like so many people right after you hit that final fucking note, you know, it's ringing and then it stops and then everyone's like moving forward and screaming and I don't know, man, it's powerful as fuck. And I'm like, I don't think a lot of people understand that. And I think that's why I love metal and metal musicians. Like,
right.
We get it. And I'm okay with if we get it. You know what I mean? It's ours. That's how I see it. If there was anything in the industry that you guys would change, what do you think it would be?
That you haven't mentioned already? That's a tough one because, like, oh man, the biggest thing would just be that like more spotlight on like more independent artists. Basically, that would be my number one. But
destruction of social media.
I guess like another thing would be like the venues and all that, like paying the bands more, like the ones that are making like a boatload off bands playing and then only giving you like a 1% door cut or something.
There's $50. You pick the house.
Yeah, you traveled all the way like 1,000 miles away or something, and here's like $50 to play a show. Like, all right.
Yeah. No. The amount of times that's happened.
Cool, but like guarantees are cool too. So.
I definitely think that we deserve riders. I guess not necessarily say like we want fucking 60 bottles of liquor when we show up.
Right.
But like we want our gas covered. We want a basic cut of the door. We deserve it. We've earned it. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
And I don't think I think the more people see and understand what we deal with, like those points that we bring up on the show all the time, pardon me, are the more people that I notice are watching it that aren't musicians are starting to understand and support more. They see like, oh shit, these guys get paid less than a cent for a Spotify play. Well, all right, what else can I go support them on? So I think the more that we bring these problems to light, all of us, like the metal community in general, the more change we can make. You know what I mean? Like I keep talking about like making noise, but that's like realistically the only way to make change is to make fucking noise. And right. I think who better than metalheads? Like
there is a community there, so it's a good place to start.
Yeah, so like that's kind of like my goal is to like try and in one way or another try and make a change and help all of us, because I think we deserve it. All of us deserve it, because there's Absolutely. A huge community on Facebook trying to change things, and I think that's really badass. Because for example, I'll be sending you guys to my buddy TJ, and he'll be putting you on airplay on his underground radio, and then I'll send you to my buddy Nate Trash, and his podcast is a little different. It's a little more fun and entertaining. As ours is a little more political. So he's a fun guy, but like we're all starting to like work together so that it's more beneficial for bands. Because instead of having to reach out to all these other fucking podcasts on your own, we all work together.
Yeah, network.
We just keep switching bands between each other. And like, I mean, through one you get 6. kind of a thing. So it's a really cool network that we're building with everybody, and I think that's going to be a pretty fucking badass future for all of us. And I think that people are going to slowly come back to the metal community, and it's going to like take over.
Hell
I
yeah.
think the same thing.
Hell
That's
yeah.
exactly what I think. So
All right. Is there anything you guys want to say before we wrap up?
What was that?
Oh, is there anything you guys want to say before we wrap up?
not much besides like thanks for
Yeah, thanks for taking the time and like
I would really say
now we're working and like hooking up with bands and stuff. Like
No worries.
awesome.
yeah, that's
for
what
the
it's about,
community
so.
all working together. So
I think we have the greatest community on the planet, honestly, because we're so not judgmental. You know, like every band I've talked to, no matter what genre they play, or what country they're from, or even if they barely speak English, we're all the same.
Absolutely.
And I think we all know that. And I think that's what makes us such a tight-knit community. And I think that if there was a model for world peace, it would be based off the metalhead community, like our culture.
Like I can be with a bunch of metalheads and I'm a weirdo and I'll feel like right at home. So if I can do that, then, it's all good.
I've never seen at any show that I've gone to, a metal show, a metalhead fight. Like two metalheads fight. But when I was performing
hip fight at a metal show, like for sure.
Drunk people,
like head versus metalhead.
Yeah, but I've seen like in hip hop shows, I've been performing and like literally on stage in front of hundreds of people, and there's like people fist fighting in the middle, and I'm like,
yeah,
you're here for a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
passion is cool, but
yeah, like use the passion to bounce. Awesome. Well, you guys let me know when you are ready to drop your next EP, and we'll have you back on.
Yeah,
definitely. Actually, it is mastered, and we're just waiting to set actual release date for it.
They're trying to do a little bit better approach promotion on it. So
fuck yeah. Well, if you guys need any help, toss it our way, and we'll help share it.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. You guys stay safe, and we'll be in contact.
All right. You as well.
You stay safe too.
Okay. Peace, guys.
All right. Bye.
Peace.